Exclusive contracted novel by Feilu Novel Network. The Jedi scientist of Zongmang, highly praised Zongmang fan, science and technology are the primary productive forces. With countless black technologies mastered, tinkering with cheats is no longer a dream. Heroes rely on Edison, using the light of technology to crush the darkness of human reason. Cloud explosion bombs burn down the clock tower. Star Destroyer bombards the constellation of heroes. Two-way foil crushing human evil. Heroes. Dead thugs. Magician. Please lie down, labor and management are about to run over. More riveting and steaming, the turret is so big. Billions of stars, billions of turrets. More riveting and steaming, turret above all. Billions of turrets, billions of glory. Fate/0 is opening. A unique Holy Grail war ignites with excitement. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Golden hair, white face, Jade algae in front of, seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Pop it. Click. With a crisp sound, Fong Cheng stepped on the scattered glass debris and walked forward in the room filled with the smell of blood and gunpowder. He gripped the revolver with only one bullet left and walked step by step towards the blood and flesh-blurred corpse. Yuzuru Ryanosuk, this former killer has turned into a bloody mess, with 11.43 mm caliber bullets completely tearing open his body. The head turned into fragments, the neck was fiercely torn apart, and a ferocious blood hole appeared on his heart, especially the severed arm depicting the curse was also stepped on by Fong Cheng. Ha! Suppressing the excitement in his heart, Fong Cheng picked up the amputated limb, while in front of him, the crimson magic circle was gradually fading. Is this the curse? Feeling the three painted patterns on the back of Rain Dragon's hand, Fong Cheng's face showed a faint joy. That was the door opener he used to get in touch with magicians, and the only opportunity he had to get into magic. He is a mercenary, the most humble war hound. After crossing into the world of the moon, he replaced this poor mercenary and inherited his sniping skills and war experience. However, it's not enough. Since he has visited this mysterious world, how can Fong Cheng be content with mediocrity? Heroes, magicians, the vortex of the root, so many novel things are enough to make Fong Cheng abandon everything to pursue. He yearns for an extraordinary life, rather than a mundane passing in this world. For this, I would rather ignore the cost. So, he accepted the employment of Wei Gongqia and participated in the Holy Grail War as a mercenary sniper. No qualifications, no guides, and even no magic circuits for Fong Cheng. The Holy Grail War is his only chance to achieve mystery. So, he followed and assassinated Ryanosuk Yusei without telling his employer, Wakamiya Katsuke. At the moment when the killer received the curse-summoning caster, Fong Cheng decisively took his life and even destroyed his remains as a precaution. With his eyes slightly narrowed, Fong Cheng tightly grasped the damaged arm, intending to store it and search for a reliable surgeon to bridge the skin with the curse on it onto the back of his hand. But right now, Yila. The crimson radiance burst forth on the magical array that refuted the constellation of heroes, and the majestic power mixed with divinity also poured into Fong Cheng's body. Grasp it. A light and ethereal call rang out in his mind, listening to the words of the deity. Fong Cheng's consciousness became blurred, and his palm was tightly pressed against the curse. Very good. The voice that rang out in his mind was so sweet and boring, even Fong Cheng, who had been on the battlefield for a long time, felt a burst of heat. In the body of a woman who had not been close for a long time, an uncontrollable impulse burst out. Crisp and sweet, warm and cold, the opposite feeling caused Fong Cheng's thinking to stagnate for a while. However, there is no doubt that the enchanting call was definitely from a lovely girl or, from a cute boy with a loud noise, ah, bah. Changgu, you still give me normal sexual orientation teeth. With a sudden jolt in his mind, a faint tingling pain emanated from the back of his hand. Fong Cheng regained his senses, and the curse on Ryanosuk Yusiai's skin had already been engraved on the back of his hand. That is a centrally symmetrical mantra with 3 paintings, similar to the mantra of Kishiro Shirano, which gives him an inexplicable sense of familiarity. At this moment, the call sounded again. So, let's make a contract, lovely little Lord Sama. Listening to the cute and silly call, Fong Cheng felt inexplicable malice. At this point, an invisible force lingered around him, and a sense of weightlessness enveloped his body. Or rather, his spiritual body was mercilessly drawn out. My gaze gradually blurred, my consciousness slowly fell asleep, and as a human self, I was eroded by divinity. At this moment, he saw the golden temple in a daze. Magnificent, majestic, and grand, all the praises that humans can think of cannot describe this magnificent temple, let alone interpret the golden throne at the center of the palace, inlaid with countless jewels. And the huge fox girl lying on the throne. Well, a very huge girl, about 5 or 6 floors tall, she was quietly lying on that wide soft couch like a highway, teasingly disdaining the humble mortal in front of her. Yes, that is contempt, an undisguised contempt. It's really rare to be able to entertain guests here. She spoke on her own, but Fong Cheng's consciousness remained confused, unable to even respond to her playful words. Let me introduce myself. I am Yuzhao Qian, so it doesn't matter if I call myself Mitra or God of Heavenly Light. Of course, even if I call myself Tonadiu, Suya, Rug, and even Helios and La, it's not a problem. Most of these names have been heard of by Fong Cheng. They have different names, but they have the same meaning. The positive image of the sun, light, and even all things. And at this moment, they all converge into one, becoming a unique individual, the complete and complete sun. Or rather, that is the essence of humanity, the malice known as beast. Well, it's the same as what the Lord thinks. A mischievous smile appeared on his face, and the large fox, who claimed to be in front of Yuzhao, chuckled lightly. Her massive figure did not make Fong Cheng feel any disgust or timidity, but rather an inexplicable sense of closeness, and a foolish possessiveness surged from the bottom of his heart. After all, he is a deity, and even his majestic appearance is a reflection and evolution of perfection in the human mind. He does not have thick pores or a nauseating taste. On the contrary, the intoxicating fragrance lingers around Fong Cheng's nostrils, making him intoxicated. That's it, my concubine is a perfect incarnation. Don't think of anything that goes against the norm, and please don't delve into a girl's weight and circumference. Speaking meaningless nonsense, Yuzhao Qian flipped through Fong Cheng's thoughts without restraint, constantly muttering to him in his mind. So, let me explain it. As Beast's concubine, she was sealed by the suppressive power of the moon world to the deepest part of the constellation of spirits. And my concubine is not willing to live alone here for life. After all, the beauty of a young girl still needs a knowledgeable male to appreciate. So my concubine intervened in the call of the Holy Grail War, responding to your strange ideals and calls. As your spirit, I fought for you. Of course, the above is to deceive you. At this moment, a playful smile unique to the girl appeared on the face of the big fox, as well as a faint sense of desolation. If I could help my concubine leave this damn place, not to mention fighting for you, even if you were to rule the whole world and become the enraged King Zhou, it would be easy. So, help me, how about it? Little Lord, please. Or rather, I have been waiting for so many years. Heroes. Here, the passionate and uplifting symphony, accompanied by epic and magnificent aria, resounds in this temple. P.S. I'm writing with a flurry of ink. This is our disciple's new book, which is full of criticism and criticism well. The reputation of the Autumn Famous Mountain Racing Team is reliable, with quality and quantity guaranteed. Racing the car is absolutely enjoyable. During the new book period, there will be 5 updates on the first day, with a guaranteed 3 updates. An additional chapter will be added for every 500 collections. In short, we hope that all the readers who have accompanied us step by step can support us. Just click on your collection, vote for a flower review, and even better with a reward. New books for collection. Begging for flowers. Please give me a reward. Add 1 chapter to every 500 favorites Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 2. Snipers and Mercenaries, Collection. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Name. Fong Cheng. Hometown. People from Zhongzhou. Gender. Can't you tell? A few days ago, in a cramped residential hotel on the outskirts of Dongmu City, a tall Miss Juyu Mamie was questioning this man with a playful expression. On this warm afternoon spring day, he was dressed in a thick black windbreaker, lined with a black suit. His tie and belt were not street vendors, and his dark leather shoes reflected the dim yellow sunlight outside the window. His whole body is spotless, as if he has a fetish for cleanliness, his movements are free and unrestrained, and his aura is indifferent and domineering. Especially in Japan, where the temperature is over 30 degrees Celsius, his cool outfit is even more imposing. Of course, this can only make people feel like he's a fool. Tisk, it's the first time I've seen you as a jumping sniper. Miss Wu Mi, with a disdainful face and a tall and symmetrical figure, sighed and casually threw down the man's profile and resume. On that solid resume, there are numerous achievements written about him, such as single-person sniping and killing more than 20 members of the resistance organization, destroying several heavily armored vehicles, and independently completing hundreds of beheading missions. These things, in the eyes of Juyu Mamie, are of no value. Indeed, as a sniper, your strength and qualifications are sufficient, she said in a low voice. But this time, the target is not a fragile rebel leader, nor is it a foolish vehicle driver. I know. Fong Cheng chuckled playfully as he waved his arm in a bold and frivolous manner, saying nonchalantly, "Isn't that a magician? The magician I killed is enough to fill a septic tank. Not only that." Facing the unintelligent man, Juyu Mamie sighed again, "Do you know Yingling? Hey." Although Fong Cheng had a bewildered expression on his face, his eyes suddenly tightened. Yingling, or followers, your real obstacle is these guys who go beyond common sense. Looking at Fong Cheng's bewildered appearance, Yumiya Kuyu didn't intend to continue explaining, but waved her hand and said. In short, you just need to cooperate with Chia Si to snipe those magicians when necessary. Ensure completion of the task. Upon hearing this, Fong Cheng's tight pupils gradually relaxed, and the confusion on his face dissipated. He playfully said. Fighting for you, Tycoon. Ah, bah, my employer miss. The guy who doesn't adjust. He picked up the gun box on the ground and threw it onto Fong Cheng's bedding. Juyu Wumi turned her head and walked outside the hotel, seemingly lazy to deal with this slutty bastard. Listening as the fragile wooden door was slammed shut with force, Fong Cheng breathed a sigh of relief and sat weakly on the dirty floor. He is an assassin, or rather, a skilled sniper. At least, the human he replaced is just so terrifying. In a rather terrible way, he traveled to this world called the Type Moon, replacing the retired sniper of the peacekeeping force, and was hired by the protagonist of the original work, Omiya Katsuki, to carry out sniper missions in Dongmu City. Well, Wumi was able to hold back the bullet and kill this bastard, which was already a slap in the face for Chia Si. Jiya. Pa. The employer provides extremely generous compensation, which amounts to millions of dollars after completion. And the task is also quite simple, at least the task description is very simple. Sniper magician, time is unlimited, targets are unknown, and methods are arbitrary. Any magician within the scope of Dongmu City is Fong Cheng's target, and each magician's head is priced at hundreds of thousands of dollars. This price has far exceeded that of most Middle Eastern rebel leaders, and even Fong Cheng has to lament the employer's generosity. But unfortunately, this price is not enough to make him work hard. Yingling. Fong Qing sat slumped on the cold floor, feeling a piercing chill in his heart. Under the grip of fear in his heart, his thoughts seemed even more frozen. On the flight to this place, this mortal from a certain world replaced the sniper who had previously experienced countless battles, and also gained his sniping experience and combat skills. However, as an outsider who is familiar with the original work, he is well aware that this is far from enough. Steel core sniper bullets cannot penetrate the ceremonial attire of the Emperor. However, broadsword tactical landmines are even more difficult to tear through the opponent's defense. Even polyisobutylene explosives cannot threaten the spiritualized spirit. He has no chance of winning, he is just a disposable cannon fodder. Even in the eyes of Wei Gongqie, he is not even as good as toilet paper. At least after being used to wipe something with toilet paper, there's still a whole body left. Decadent and talking nonsense, this newcomer who has just arrived in the world of the moon is facing an unimaginable situation. And he doesn't have any golden fingers, let alone system cheats, and even ignores his inhibitory power. Too humble, too inferior, too inconspicuous. Not to mention getting involved in the Holy Grail war, even surviving it is quite difficult. And if we abandon this employment mission, Wei Gongqie will not spare me. In order to avoid any information leakage, he will definitely silence me. His face was filled with a carefree smile, and the timidity and cowardice dissipated like a haze brushed by a gentle breeze. With a sarcastic grin, he said. After all, in his mind, people are equivalent to each other. Compared to the humanity around the world that he is about to save, I am truly humble. As he spoke, he slowly stood up, honing himself as a sniper, making his body incredibly resilient. Even as a weaker Asian, he could still crush black millet in terms of flexibility. Underneath the thick windbreaker and suit, it was the streamlined muscles filled with explosive power that he clenched his fists tightly, listening to the sound of their thumping. Then, with a calm smile, he said. Since I'm here, how can I be willing to be mediocre? Smiling freely, playfully, and ferociously, his smile became more twisted, and the accumulated pressure in his heart poured out, and then, click. The gun box was opened, and with his skillful assembly, the dark and heavy Barrett XM.109 anti-material sniper rifle was firmly held in his hand. With a weight of 46 pounds, this heavy sniper rifle is like a bucket filled with water. Even with excellent physical fitness, Fong Qing cannot carry this heavy sniper rifle to complete complex tactical maneuvers. And its abnormal recoil force makes him only able to snipe in a prone position, with a larger caliber and lower exit speed, making this heavy sniper rifle a thorn in the side. Of course, it is not Fong Qing's main weapon, but rather a special firearm that Fong Qing temporarily asked Juyu Mamie to transfer from the Ainsbellen family to compensate for his output to the magician. That's enough. As soon as he grabbed the sniper rifle, Fong Qing's lethargic aura dissipated, and he smiled freely. Jedi scientist, 8 times not holding his breath, hitting his head 800 miles away, this wave is stable. New books for collection. Begging for flowers. Please give me a reward. Add 1 chapter to every 500 favorites Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 3. Yu, a strong person seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hunting, start. On the chilly rooftop, Fong Qing threw away his thick black windbreaker and hid the heavy gun box on the top floor. Immediately afterwards, he threw his walkie-talkie, phone, and even earphones onto this rooftop. These things are all the equipment prepared by the Ainsbellen family for him, and these devices definitely have locators to confirm his position. So, he plans to set up doubts and complete his long-planned plan. Ha! He tidied everything up and put on a gray and dirty sportswear. Unlike the cleaner sniper he replaced, Fong Qing from another world is a pragmatist. Only when he can achieve his goal, he never cares about the cruelty of the means, let alone how messy his clothes are. Leaning against the fence, gazing at the distant old town area of Dongmu City, a few hundred meters away from this building, is the ancestral home of the Yuansaka family located on the spiritual vein. With a commanding view, Fang Cheng fixed a camera equipped with a telephoto lens on the top floor of the building, observing the situation of the ancestral home of the Far-Saka family through a glass curtain wall. Then, connect the camera to the laptop and transfer the video data to the network in the form of screenshots, taking screenshots every 10 seconds to ensure the clarity of the image. The reason why videos are not uploaded directly is because the World Wide Web of this era is so spicy, even slightly clearer images may lead to big picture killing, let alone high-definition videos. However, screenshots made at a specific time and frequency are also sufficient for Fang Cheng to grasp the movements in the ancestral residence of Yuansaka. Then, he grabbed another 2G phone equipped with multimedia messaging function, picked up a thick M460X VR revolver, and left the chilly rooftop with ease. This revolver, with a twisted caliber of 11.43 mm, has been with Fang Cheng for a long time, and its reliable performance and brutal power also make Fang Cheng quite trusted. Now, due to the possibility of the sniper rifle being tampered with, Fang Cheng has no choice but to let it reappear in the world. Pinning the large caliber revolver around his waist, he walked briskly, like a pedestrian jogging and exercising, spinning around the streets of Dongmu City, gradually patrolling his goals. The young man with orange hair and cynicism is exactly the goal of his trip. Indeed, in the Fourth Holy Grail War, most lords were mature in their thinking and sharp in their tactics, but there were also exceptions. Apart from Weber Wilwit, as a murderer, Ryonosuke Yusei is seen by Fang Cheng as such a soft persimmon. Don't think that Ryonosuke Yusei, who is hailed as a murderer, is so terrifying. His deterrent power is built on this peaceful Japanese society and the cruel torture of his kidnappers. If Yuzuru Ryonosuke were thrown into the chaotic Middle East, no matter how skilled he is in killing, it would not cause fear among the residents there. In places where death is seen as a common sense, Fang Cheng, as a hunter, looks down on Yuzuru Ryonosuke, who is killing ordinary citizens. He can beat 10 of these scumbags. Especially in the presence of firearms, Jiyu Wumi can easily take down this idiot, let alone Fang Cheng, who is skilled at sniping enemies. With a condescending contempt, Fang Cheng found the orange-haired killer wandering in the city center. In order to find the goods, Fang Cheng wasted time squatting in front of the traffic video in Dongmu City, painstakingly analyzing his movement patterns. As a killer, Ryonosuke Yusei also has quite good experience in anti-investigation, but this experience is still too amateur for Fang Cheng. With the help of his usual hiding method, Fang Cheng followed behind the murderer to monitor him, watching him search for prey step by step, knocking on the prey's door, and then rushing in. That is a residential building, and Ryonosuke Yusei has found an innocent family of 5. While other residents were working during the day, he suddenly broke into it and engaged in a brutal hunting like a wild beast. It's like a bad wolf rushing into a little pig's house, ruthlessly slaughtering unarmed civilians, devouring their lives and pecking at their fears. By doing so, one can satisfy their inner pleasure. At this moment, Fang Cheng had already pried open the door of another residential building. With the help of this empty residential building, as well as the water pipes and air conditioning units on the 3-story exterior wall, he gradually moved towards the living room window where Ryonosuke Yusei was located. The originally warm living room had already turned into a purgatory under the atrocities of Ryonosuke Yusei, leaving only the weak children of the poor family of 5 who survived. That was exactly the magic circle that Fang Cheng had hoped for, used to summon heroes, while Ryonosuke Yusei held a precious magic book and drew precise spells with blood. On the air conditioning unit outside the window, Fang Cheng peered through the thick curtains, peering into the gaps. Innocent citizens are brutally slaughtered and ignored. The helpless cries of children. Enduring anger, the corpse was chopped to pieces, as if ignoring it. Anger was accumulating in his heart, but Fang Cheng still squatted quietly on the air conditioner, watching Yuzuru Ryonosuke draw a magical array to summon heroes step by step. Place your left hand on the pistol hammer and gently pull it open. In the barrel of the gun, inside the hollow brass bullet, there was a buildup of anger in Fang Cheng's heart. Right now, who is there? He turned his head. The twisted and joyful smile was completely displayed before Fang Cheng's eyes. Yushin Ryonosuke was laughing, pure and innocent. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 4. Self-sight Lockhead does not hold its breath, seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oh. Joy, playfulness, teasing the murderer, whose hands were stained with blood, was laughing pure and excited at the moment. He turned around and looked at the tightly drawn curtains in the living room, staring quietly at Fang Cheng through the narrow gap. I found you, kid. Listening to the mocking call, Fang Cheng finally understood why he was called a murderer. Yuzuru Ryonosuke is not strong, and even in Fang Cheng's view, he is extremely weak. Lack of strong physical fitness, excellent tactical skills, let alone proficiency in firearms. What this guy possesses is only the unique essence of being a killer. As a hunter's instinct. He is a non-human who constantly hunts humans, a demon that feeds on humans, an irrational and ignorant beast from beginning to end. He did not place other humans in the same position as his peers, but rather regarded them as prey, playthings, exquisite works of art. So, he is the murderer, not just a simple bandit. At this moment, Fang Cheng didn't know what to do. He never thought he would be discovered by this guy, but due to the consciousness of mercenaries, he raised his gun towards this evil ghost. Grasping the heavy gun handle tightly and lightly pulling the cold trigger, he locked the sight onto Ryonosuke Yusiai's head. At such close range, Fang Cheng didn't even need to demonstrate his incredible sniper skills. Just using this large-caliber pistol could lift the skull of this killer. But this was not his intention. The reason why Fang Cheng is tracking this murderer is not to act on behalf of heaven, nor is he aware of judging evil. His purpose is the curse of Yuzuru Ryonosuke. As long as he is killed, the skin with the curse on the back of his hand is peeled off, and before the cells lose their activity, the skilled surgeon who specializes in this field will implant the curse into his body. Indeed, Fang Cheng is not a magician, and he does not have the qualification to contact the Magic Association, and even knows if there is a magic circuit. But in order to pursue mystery and survive in this Holy Grail war, he must master the killing move called Hero, and Ryonosuke Yusiai is the only target he can hunt. But now, Ryonosuke Yusiai has discovered him, but this guy has not yet received the curse. If Ryonosuke Yusiai is killed, this trip will be meaningless and even expose his identity and whereabouts right now. Hiss. What is this? Yuzuru Ryonosuke suddenly felt a sharp pain in the back of his hand, and the sudden influx of Daiyuan magic into his body made him feel an uncontrollable shiver. 3 crimson carvings gradually appeared on the back of his hand, and the bloody magic circle drawn with a cloth also emitted a crimson glow. This. Without much time to think, Fang Cheng quickly adjusted the sight and eagerly pulled the trigger. Time waits for no one. Bang. Bang. The sound of gunfire rang out, and as the trigger was pulled, a mechanical device drove the firing pin in the dark barrel of the gun. The yellow and clear primer of the bullet was triggered by the firing pin, which ignited the highly flammable gunpowder in the shell. At this point, the 11.43 mm pistol bullet, propelled by the impact of the gunpowder explosion, instantly sliced through the silver-white muzzle, carrying a dazzling golden flame, and shot towards Ryonosuke Yusiai, who was thrown on the back of his hand. Time has come to a halt at this moment. Pa! Blood splattered out in all directions. The first bullet tore apart Ryonosuke Yusiai's arm, while the second bullet followed closely behind, crushing his other arm to pieces. The fragile flesh and blood of humans are easily shattered in the face of 11.43 mm large-caliber bullets. Bang! 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 The sound of gunfire rang out again, and this special large-caliber pistol cannot be fired continuously. It can only be fired at high speed by the gunman to ensure the accuracy of the bullets. But at such a close distance, Fang Cheng doesn't even need to consider the issue of bullets missing the target. Pa! With a few faint gunshots mixed in, Ryanosuk Yusiai's forehead was torn apart, and the next bullet directly tore through his neck. The fifth bullet pierced through his heart, creating a huge hole in his body. At this moment, the smoke of gunpowder dispersed. Pop it! As the smoke danced gently in the breeze, Ryanosuk Yusheng's broken body slowly collapsed into a pool of blood. He never expected that the usually weak prey could easily crush him to death. No, he didn't even have time to think and turned into a pile of bloody garbage, as if he had been tormented by those citizens, even more miserable than that. Ha! On the air conditioner, Fang Cheng suppressed his inner trembling as he almost fell from the 3-story high exterior wall under the recoil of the gun. He is not a magician, let alone a spirit as strong as iron. There is no straw downstairs for a leap of faith. If he falls off the exterior wall of a residential building, the consequences can be imagined. But now is not the time to hesitate. Although his pistol is equipped with a silencer, if he doesn't quickly hide in the living room, he may be seen by other residents in his mesmerizing position. Pop! Passing through the shattered glass, Fang Cheng stepped onto the flesh and blood-blurred corpse. He craves the power of magic. More eager to understand the truth of this world and break free from the mediocre life of mortals. For this, regardless of the cost. New books for collection. Begging for flowers. Please give me a reward. Add 1 chapter to every 500 favorites Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 5. The Unpack Jade Grass Fox, Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. GABA. Stepping on the fine glass stubble, Fang Cheng walked step by step towards the blood and flesh-blurred corpse. The murderous ghost that countless citizens were afraid of now turned into a scattered pile of garbage, looking extremely miserable. Regarding this, Fang Cheng showed no mercy at all. In his opinion, this bastard is not worth apologizing for. As a beast that obeys desires, one must have the awareness of being eaten by other beings on the food chain. Is this the curse? Grasping the severed limb of Yusheng Longji, inexplicable impulse surged in Fang Cheng's mind. At this moment, the magic circle in front of him, which was used to communicate with the constellation of spirits, emitted a gradually fading red light. Marshal Gil de Rice, who was originally to be summoned by Ryanosuk, was also forcibly deported back. An array of sunlight happened to fall at the center of the magic circle. Invisible magic emerged in the magic circle, containing the power of divinity, purifying the filthy blood in the magic circle. The originally blood-woven magic circle gradually dissipated, and golden sunlight appeared on it. And in Fang Cheng's mind, there was also the call of a young girl who was light and boring. Are you the master of my concubine? That voice was so pleasant to the ear. Just hearing that sound, Fang Cheng couldn't help but be influenced by it, and even felt admiration in his heart. This is... He trembled all over. As a mercenary walking on the battlefield, Fang Cheng had a considerable B score for his strength. Undoubtedly, he is not a magician, nor does he possess the talent of a magic circuit. He is just an ordinary person, and even less skilled than a magician like Omiya Katsuki. As the Lord who drives and follows, how can he not have magic? Even ordinary people without magic circuits will not be selected by the Holy Grail, and the protagonist is precisely like this. Even though he has a thirst for the Holy Grail, mystery, and magic in his heart, he still has not obtained the qualification of the Lord. But at this moment, he summoned the spirit to correct your statement. I am not the hero summoned by you. The ethereal voice rang out again, her voice swirling in Fang Cheng's mind, and the power of divinity was eroding this mortal's mind. So, let's get to know each other. His consciousness gradually became hazy, his thinking slowly stagnated, and he stared blankly at the suddenly changing scenery in front of him. That is a palace made of gold, that is a realm that showcases the power of gods, and that is a level beyond the reach of mortals. Welcome, my only guest. At this moment, he laughed recklessly. The massive figure was lying on the huge throne in an unassuming manner. Even if she lay down, she could reach a height of 2 or 3 floors and look down at Feng Cheng from a high position. That figure is quite familiar to Feng Cheng. The golden-haired white-faced nine-tailed fox, or it can also be referred to as the Jade algae front. White porcelain-like skin, plump and perfectly proportioned figure, exquisite and perfect yet slightly playful wild appearance. He is the perfect goddess, the deity who governs the concept of the sun, and an existence that Feng Cheng cannot understand. Welcome, to the temple of my concubine. Hero, the mission to save the princess has begun. He is condescending, contemptuous, cynical, and contemptuous. He looks at Feng Cheng like a god looking at humble insects. So. Looking at Feng Cheng with a bewildered expression, this huge fox girl lifted her crotch and held 3 cards that could serve as door panels, placing them in front of Feng Cheng. Your Majesty, do you want this gold follower, this silver follower, or this copper follower? At this moment, Feng Cheng didn't know what to say. He stared at the playful fox, trying his best to suppress his desires inside. If it weren't for his firm willpower, he probably would have been embarrassed now, right? Looking directly at this plump fox, no male can suppress his inner desires. Even a fag will be instantly reversed in their sexual orientation, and then after parting ways, they will completely lose interest in any creature. That is a perfect figure that no one can ignore, even Feng Cheng is just struggling to abide by his own body. Then, he looked at the 3 cards in front of him with a bewildered expression. Don't you like them all? Or rather, is the little hero shy? At this moment, the fox with a wicked nature laughed mischievously and said. Since that's the case, let me help you choose. As she spoke, she lifted the golden follower card and directly pasted it onto Feng Cheng's face. After accepting the dowry, remember to come and save my concubine, dear lord. So, Feng Cheng resolutely fainted. After a moment, he woke up again in the dark sea of consciousness. And in front of him, a majestic figure appeared. That is a man with the most prominent characteristics. The head of a lion. Are you my lord? I'm really weak, I don't even have the magic to maintain my physical form. However, coincidentally you're not the magician I detest. The man with a lion's head grinned, his sharp steel teeth enough to make anyone shiver. Since you're not that kind of trash, that kind of corrupt scum who relies on magic to maintain a privileged position. So, come and accept my gift. Young generation, yo. He smiled heartily, with a terrifying gleam on his pure white steel teeth. Immediately after, in a moment when Feng Cheng was at a loss, heroes rely on this to manifest themselves. P.S. Complete the first day's 5 o'clock shift and start tomorrow morning's 3 o'clock shift. Looking for a wave of flowers to reward and evaluate. Well, I hope the big shots close their eyes and press 0. It's fate to play more or less. New books for collection. Begging for flowers. Please give me a reward. Add 1 chapter to every 500 favorites Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 6. Heroes rely on Edison for collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Lion-headed human body, robust body, elegant and barbaric demeanor, and the wisdom that faintly bursts from the lion's eyes, as well as the disgust towards magic. His identity is obvious. Thomas Alva Edison. This is his title as a legendary figure of his generation. Mapping the real world, recording the sounds of the past, and even covering the surface with the lights of civilization. In modern society, every human being has to some extent utilized Edison's technology, and this inventor has made progress in the world. However, in contrast to Feng Cheng, Edison despised magic, hated mystery, and harbored hostility towards the privileged class that surpassed all living beings. Any unique invention that cannot be used by the majority of people is meaningless to study. Such profound knowledge that cannot penetrate all aspects of human society is not necessary to delve deeper. This is precisely Edison's creed. While pursuing mystery, reason, and the truth of the world, he wanted to use his own power to drive the changes of the world and create a perfect prosperous era for humanity. Undoubtedly, compared to the false happiness brought to people by authoritarian regimes and ideological domination, the era changes brought by technology truly benefit the world. And Edison was such a scientist. "You're no different from me," said the hero with a lion's head, who gathered the concepts of the great leaders of America. He stroked his light golden lion temples and looked at Feng Cheng gently. "Come on, inherit my ideas, realize my ideals, follow reason, and explore the truth for our common future." At this moment, the broad and sturdy lion claws pressed against Feng Cheng. Unlike Jin Mao by Mian Yuzhao Qian, this heroic spirit's words were full of Chen, and his resistant palm was also cautious. His gaze towards Feng Cheng was even more filled with longing. He hopes to move forward with like-minded partners, completely overturn this false world, and lead humanity to change again with the power of technology. For this, life and death do not matter. It's really. At this moment, Feng Cheng didn't know what expression to make. He wanted to smile bitterly, but couldn't laugh. The seemingly rough man in front of him is actually the true conscience of human society. Perhaps Edison was a capitalist in history who was greedy for profit and reputation, but this great man who was elevated to a hero is the opposite. No ethnic differences, no narrow sense of national identity, no historical obstacles. He is selflessly dedicating himself not to the country and society, nor to his fellow race, but to the concept of all humanity. For the progress of human society, he can do everything at any cost, but even if he does his best, under the continuous deprivation and exploitation of those in power and the upper class, he still cannot fulfill that grand dream. New technologies are used to kill people of the same kind in war, new theories are used to enslave civilians to maintain rule, new science has also become a weapon in the hands of those in power, used to safeguard their interests, and even called stability. Therefore, he felt deeply powerless. If one person is not enough, then another one. If 10 people are not enough, then fill in all. His hoarse voice was filled with sadness and calmness. Yes, we are enemies with the world. A tear bloomed in the lion's eyes, and he murmured in a deep voice. The magnetic voice contained a hint of unwillingness. We, who lead the world forward, have become enemies of the world. Or rather, it's just an enemy of the upper class, Feng Cheng said calmly as he raised his palm and grasped the thick and sturdy lion claws. "Don't underestimate the humble lower-class people, Mr. Utopian." "Yeah, that's right." Looking at the tightly clenched palms, the scientist who gave up everything for his ideals smiled candidly. "Move forward, friend." The strength gradually fades away, and the body becomes even thinner. The whole person's figure became blurred, and Edison's concepts, carried by his countless years of accumulated wisdom and insights in the constellation of the spirit, flooded into Feng Cheng's consciousness. It did not affect Feng Cheng's consciousness, and this knowledge was just an external hard drive, docked in the mind of this emperor, allowing him to access it anytime and anywhere. And Edison's figure completely dissipated in this sea of consciousness. "Don't fall before your ideals, Lord." At this, Feng Cheng closed his eyes. That figure, he will never forget. It's so naive. At this moment, located in the deepest part of the constellation of spirits, in the golden temple, on the shining throne of the sun. Idiot. Stupid. Damn ant. She impatiently hammered the golden floor tiles and peered through the mirror like treasure, peering into Feng Cheng's sea of consciousness. When Fong Cheng saw that he had accepted Edison's ideals and gained all his strength, Yuzookian angrily shouted. Human development. Social changes. The world's progress. How could that thing compare to one's own power and status? People will be punished by heaven and earth for themselves. The despicable lionhead dares to deceive the imperial lord of my concubine. At this point, Yuzookian undoubtedly revealed the nature of the privileged class. She gazed at the gradually condensed spiritual core in Fong Cheng's body and snorted indignantly. Moreover, he also gave the troublesome treasure to the young lord. Is Edison, that guy, so eager to kill the mystery? No, he never wanted to kill anyone. On the contrary, he just wants to completely remove all gods and mysteries, and let the world return to the prosperous era of humanity. Break down superstitions, rectify chaos, and trigger changes in the world. That is the obligation of researchers. He will use the power of science to erase all parameters that hinder human progress. Human beings just need to move forward steadily. New books for collection. Begging for flowers. Please give me a reward. Reward and update one chapter every 2000 VIP points. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 7. Knowledge is power, seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ha. Pain, weakness, and slightly dull consciousness. Fong Cheng lay in the sticky pool of blood, slowly opening his dry eyes. At this moment, the whole world crumbled before his eyes. Countless knowledge swirls in my mind, including mathematics, physics, chemistry, biology, humanities, and even philosophy. These knowledge churned in his mind, making him involuntarily analyze everything in front of him. Looking up and seeing the ceiling light on the roof, my mind flashed with comprehensive data such as its composition principle, energy consumption level, conversion efficiency, opening temperature, plastic shell composition, internal lamp tube structure, usage time, lamp opening speed, weight and volume, lampshade reflection angle, aesthetic geometry, heat dissipation performance, continuous working time, power supply structure, power outage protection performance, load-bearing limit, room temperature rise effect, basic lumen number, color impact on users, and lamp transmittance. Then, suppressing his deep contempt, he said disdainfully. Garbage. With a simple examination, Fong Cheng can identify dozens of modification methods to improve his work efficiency, reduce production costs, and even make it more aesthetically pleasing. Then, he ignored the bloodshed everywhere and aimlessly looked around the various electrical appliances in the room. Not even garbage is worth it. The technology of this era is really too outdated, isn't it? He murmured as he slowly stood up from the dry pool of blood, ignoring the hard and dry blood scabs on his clothes. For researchers, aesthetics are unnecessary when alone. With extreme thoughts, Fong Cheng flipped through the memories in his mind, organizing and integrating them, gradually inheriting all of Edison's knowledge. That was not Thomas Alva Edison, a mortal in history, but after sublimation into a hero, he was promoted to the legendary king of invention. In other words, his knowledge has exceeded the limits of human history and can even be seen as genuine black technology. Moreover, the time within the constellation of spirits is not synchronized with the outside world. Compared to the parallel spaces of the lunar world, the constellation of Perseus stands on the outside of the world and is not influenced by the concept of time itself. The spirits residing within it can also freely adjust the proportion of time in their solitary space. So, Edison, who had been lamenting the lack of time before his death and even shortened his sleep time to 3 hours, twisted himself to the extreme and adjusted the time in the constellation of spirits to almost the limit. Nearly 10,000 times the proportion of time, Edison spent more than 600,000 years in the constellation of the spirit, climbing the technology tree he had always dreamed of to the peak. Yes, he went through thousands of centuries of time flow in the constellation of spirits. Unlike those who enjoyed leisure and practiced martial arts day and night in the constellation of spirits, Edison applied this extraordinary time to the study of science and technology. During these hundreds of thousands of years, he praised the extraordinary intelligence obtained as a hero, which easily overcame tens of thousands of scientific problems, and pushed the technological tree of humanity to hundreds of years later with his own efforts. Advanced mathematics, mechanics, thermodynamics, optics, electromagnetics, atomic physics, solid-state physics, structural science, mathematical and physical methods, theoretical mechanics, thermodynamics, statistical physics, electrodynamics, quantum mechanics, computational physics, organic synthesis chemistry, metallic and non-metallic organic chemistry, bioorganic chemistry, organic analytical chemistry, polymer applications, structural chemistry, chemical thermodynamics, chemical kinetics, solution theory, interface chemistry, colloid chemistry, quantum chemistry, morphology, molecular biology, biophysics, ecology, biomathematics, embryology, genetics, cell biology, physiology. He studied countless subjects with his own strength. If it weren't for his almost endless energy in the constellation of spirits and his ability to freely rewrite the physical rules of his space, Edison would never have been able to achieve such an exaggerated feat, and this knowledge has been engraved in Feng Cheng's mind, becoming a part of him. The Holy Grail War. Recalling his past goals, Feng Cheng sneered contemptuously. The kind of black box technology that cannot be summarized, or certified. Magicians not only fail to thoroughly analyze it, but also become obsessed with its uncontrollable power. It's really foolish. The so-called science refers to summarizing, and authenticating the known world through methods such as data calculation, textual interpretation, language explanation, and visual presentation. The essence of magic is the use of mystery. The more it is analyzed clearly, the more its power will become barren. So magicians can only be obsessed with the power of magic and do not decompose and analyze it. The reason for doing this is simply that magicians are afraid of the mystery spreading away. They have lost the power of magic, and thus become mortals. They study magic only to maintain their privileged position, enslaving those ignorant beings who are decadent and lethargic. Undoubtedly, this foolish rule is dragging humanity into the mud of destruction. If a race loses the consciousness to continue striving, it will definitely be engulfed by this universe. When facing disasters, they will have no fighting power. To safeguard the interests of one's own class, dragging the entire race towards destruction. Feng Cheng never agrees with this. New books for collection. Begging for flowers. Please give me a reward. Add 1 chapter to every 500 favorites Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 8. Oscar's Little Gold Man, Seeking Collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sure enough, I don't have a magic circuit. Standing in the foul-smelling living room, Feng Cheng shook his arm and felt the closed muscles inside his body. After receiving Edison's spiritual support, Feng Cheng's perception of his body became clearer. He could easily feel every inch of flesh and blood in his body and make perfect use of every bit of strength. This ability is enough to be a perfect warrior for a long time, but for Edison, it was just a skill for completing experiments. The number of magic circuits inside the body is rare and all are in a closed state. This closed magic circuit does not refer to the magic circuit that can be opened, but to the completely solidified meridians. In other words, he lacks the qualifications to be a magician. So what? Feng Cheng said with a faint disdain on his face, compared to squeezing his own vitality in summoning magic to cast spells, I have a better plan here. Flipping through the knowledge in his mind, Feng Cheng searched for a technology that Edison favored in the ocean of mathematical knowledge. Flow electricity. Yes, it is the technology developed by Tesla Nicholas, Edison's archenemy. After hundreds of thousands of years of research, Edison elevated this technology to become the key to manipulating magic. Convert all energy into electrical energy and guide it towards the user's side through complex wireless transmission technology. By utilizing special black technology equipment, electrical energy can be transformed into inexhaustible magic. Yes, as long as there is enough huge power plant support, Feng Cheng can even obtain inexhaustible magical reserves that are enough to surpass any magician. Moreover, the power grids of most cities in the world are inherently interconnected, and once they enter the national power system in Japan, they can effortlessly extract this resource. Even though the conversion efficiency between electricity and magic is extremely low, compared to the electricity consumption of a city, Feng Cheng only needs a drop in the bucket of electricity, and even the power consumption of a factory is more than enough for him. After all, in most developed countries around the world, the power industry has always been in a state of surplus, especially in a certain continent where a large number of thermal power plants had to be laid off due to excess electricity, leading to an increasingly sluggish coal mining industry. As a developed country, almost every city in Japan has a large number of reserve motors in neutral gear excitation state. Even so, there is still a large amount of electricity surplus that cannot be solved. In this modern society, electricity resources are quite cheap. As long as it's not African black millet and Central Asian deserts and mountainous areas, there's no need to worry about insufficient electricity resources. So, the biggest goal at present is to occupy the Dongmu City Power Station and arrange it as my magic workshop. Easily patting the dust on his clothes, Feng Cheng paid no attention to his poor qualifications. For him, using qualifications as a foolish way to measure a person's value was simply foolish. Moreover, the power I have gained goes beyond that. Yila. A light sound echoed on the glass shards, and as the concept emerged, the shards of glass instantly disintegrated into a puddle of fine dust. This fine powder is mostly silicon dioxide, SiO2, with some sodium oxide, Na2O, and calcium oxide, Chao, mixed in with some other materials. Divorce and then reorganize. With Feng Cheng's gentle murmur, the sparkling dust condensed in his palm. Click. Gently gripping the palm, when it opened again, there was a crystal in the palm that was clear and flawless. Crystals are also composed of silica, but they are more pure compared to glass. It's easy. Feeling the power of the concept in his body, Feng Cheng smiled playfully and said, "Is this Edison's possession skill? Maintain skills, conceptual improvement, A+. This unique ability allows him to freely alter the composition of object molecules and bestow mystery upon mortals. Of course, granting mystery to mortal beings requires a huge amount of magic, and large scale changes in material composition also require a certain amount of magic. Even so, this ability is enough for me to use the flow electricity device." A playful smile appeared on his face as Feng Cheng flipped through the multimedia message he received on his phone and walked step by step towards the outside of this residential area. The camera he set up captured the scene of Gilgamesh shooting Hassan Sabah clearly, and he also fell into a coma for several hours before fully accepting Edison's knowledge. Thanks to the arrangement of the church, otherwise I would have been taken away by the police officer Shu Shu, Feng Cheng said helplessly. He had previously shot Ryanosukyushin, and the piercing sound of gunfire was easily distinguishable. But due to the church's consideration that the lords would cause trouble, they took control of the police station in advance and used suggestive magic on the police officers, so that they would not take the initiative to call the police during the Holy Grail War. So, even though the neighbors were terrified, this place was not searched, and the crime scene in the residential area was not exposed. And right now, ding-ling, the crisp ringing of his phone rang, and Feng Cheng's face stiffened. He reluctantly took out his phone and looked at the notes displayed on the screen. This phone is connected to the phone he left on the rooftop, ensuring that calls from another phone can be transferred without leaking its location. "Mr. Feng Cheng, why didn't you come back all night last night?" Wei Gong Chiesher's cold voice came from the receiver of his phone, and Feng Cheng immediately sneered. "I watched a great show last night," he said playfully, with a hint of mockery on his face. Can you explain to me, who was that shiny and pretentious guy in the study room of Yuansaka Ancestral Mansion last night? Upon hearing this, Chia Sipa fell silent, while Fong Cheng roared fiercely. Do you really want labor and capital to confront those monsters? Don't be joking. Labor and capital earn commissions for extravagance, pleasure, and playing with girls. Talent is not about working hard for people like you who are forced to work hard. Why didn't you clearly write down the enemy on the task report? Why didn't you remind the hired mercenaries in advance? Do you really want to use me as cannon fodder? At this moment, Fong Cheng seemed to be possessed by the Fu Huer, imitating the tone of Fu Huer's anger and roaring at the top of his lungs. You immortal board. I won't accompany you anymore. You're just an employer with shit in your mind, don't expect to receive any more employment tasks in the dark web. While shouting, Fong Cheng was filled with pride in his heart. Oscar would never force him to owe him a little golden man. I understand. On the other side, listening to Fong Cheng's roar, Wei Gong Chiesi sighed and said helplessly, then please come to the hotel to return the deposit and pay the penalty. I will terminate this employment. Immediately afterwards, Fong Cheng's rough roar came from the receiver. Ha! Labor and capital are so precious, how can I have time to accompany you and force you? I will repay you the deposit through a bank draft, wasting labor and capital's time. Why do you still want a penalty for breach of contract? Get lost. At this point, the face of Wei Gong's heir revealed anger. New books for collection. Begging for flowers. Please give me a reward. Add 1 chapter to every 500 favorites Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 9. The use of Faraday cages, seeking collection. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Accompanied by the sound of hanging up the phone, Wei Gong cut off the communication with the big brother like the bottom of a pot. Although missing a chess piece is not a big problem for this Holy Grail war, being snatched away by a defaulter for a while and causing half a bitch to die still caused an unnamed fire in the heart of Wei Gongkieshi. He skillfully took out his cigarette, lit it, and took a deep breath. After spitting out a cigarette ring, the skilled magician killer slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. As a long-time assistant to Wei Gong Chiasi, Zhu Yu Wumi naturally saw from his furrowed brow that Chiasi was in a state of distress. Zhu Yu Wumi, who regarded himself as a part of the other party's body, immediately asked Chiasi about it. Do you need me to deal with this guy? Ah, of course. After being deceived by Fong Cheng's acting skills, Wei Gong Chiesher naturally regarded the mercenary who tore up the contract as a cowardly bandit. This Holy Grail war, as the other party said, is a battle between monsters. As a sniper, Fong Cheng's actual use in this Holy Grail war is not significant. Moreover, as a timid individual, he may even reveal the intelligence of the Che-Si camp to enemies of other camps in order to survive. Such mercenaries withdrawing from the beginning is not a bad thing. After receiving instructions from Chiasi, Juyu Meimi nodded silently. The two had formed an unparalleled understanding through years of cooperation, and without detailed instructions, Meimi knew what to do. After leaving the hotel room, she skillfully started the car and activated GPS navigation. Without analysis, Wumi thought she knew the route that Fong Cheng would choose. Since you are going to violate the contract, in order to inherit, I can only let you die here. Don't hate me. After all, throughout history, it has always been natural for traitors to come to an end in blood. In the eyes of a normal person, if a deserter wants to escape from the battlefield, he will definitely evacuate at the fastest speed. Therefore, Wumi determined that Zhou Yi would definitely flee to the airport from his current position. In the 1990s, Dongmu City was not as prosperous as 10 years later. In this city, there were only a few roads leading to the airport, and Wu Mi had already selected the most suitable place for assassination and drove to that location. However, all of this inference was based solely on the result that Fang Cheng wanted to run away, and this intelligence was wrong from the beginning. At the same time, Chia Si in the room also noticed an intelligence message on the screen of the old-fashioned TV. A residential building in this city caught fire. Is this? After shaking his head, Chia Si threw the extra thoughts out of his mind. Although he suspected that this was related to the mercenary who broke the contract, he no longer had the energy to pay attention to the miscellaneous soldier. Trusting his assistant, he gently wiped the Mauser gun inside the box. In his opinion, Mamie was already enough to clean up the miscellaneous soldier. After angrily criticizing Che Si with his acting skills for a while, Fang Cheng, who hung up the phone, did not rush to the airport as expected by Che Si and Wu Mi. He was relied on by Thomas Edison to gain a lot of black technology and had no intention of leaving the Holy Grail War. After dealing with the terrible scene left by Yuzuru Ryanosuk, Fang Cheng lit a flame on sight. Although this flame would not burn down the entire building, it was enough to eliminate Yuzuru Ryanosuk's traces in this world. After leaving the building and confirming that there were no envoys sent by Omiya Katsushi around, he quietly arrived at his destination. A small power plant in Higashiki City. At this moment, those two old bullies are definitely still squatting by the grass, at the airport, waiting to pick up my head. Just wait for me slowly. After effortlessly climbing over the fence of the power plant, Fang Cheng looked at the security guard snoring in the security room, hiding his figure with an embarrassed expression, and walked in. Although he knows that these small power plants won't have many security measures, especially in the current era of surplus power resources, but could you please cooperate? Is it okay for labor and capital to infiltrate? At least let the labor and management throw a string of firecrackers or smoke bombs. This is an egg-like Assassin's Creed. The gaming experience is extremely poor. Fang Cheng walked in almost openly like this, and no one stopped him, which was really a bit unexpected. Upon arriving at an industrial generator, Fang Cheng utilized the retention skills he had acquired from Edison. Although I have tried it before, but... After slightly concentrating, he gently opened his tightly clenched right hand. Immediately afterwards, a short diamond blade sliced out of his palm and fell to the ground. Maintain skills, conceptual improvement, A+, with the blessing of this skill, Fang Cheng transformed the carbon powder in his hand into a diamond, thus rubbing the hardest substance in the world. He once again proved with reality how abnormal it was to improve this skill with concepts. Confirming the performance of retaining skills, Fang Cheng plans to use black technology by hand. Flow electricity, this is the knowledge he has chosen from the vast amount of black technology he inherited. This device, created by Edison's arch-nemesis, Nikola Tesla, may not be directly used in combat, but it can transform Fang Cheng from an ordinary person who cannot use magic to a magician who can use magic. Transforming electric current and magic into each other, Grandmaster is truly a character located between Bull A and Bull C. Fang Cheng, who is constantly tinkering with parts through conceptual improvements, is constantly studying relevant information on flow electricity in his mind. As long as he can successfully manufacture a small device that operates flow electricity, some of the electricity in this power plant will become his magic. After manufacturing the last part, Fang Cheng raised his hand slightly and then clenched his fist tightly. All the parts on the ground float in mid-air and automatically assemble into a rudimentary machine. Although the appearance of this machine was really poor, Fang Cheng did not care. After inheriting Edison's knowledge, his mood seemed to transform into a researcher. He did not care about the beauty of the creation, only whether it could play its role. Beauty is the designer's pot, what does it have to do with him? With the connection to the generator testing interface, a mysterious force was transformed, and at this moment, Fang Cheng was very clear that he had succeeded. Subsequently, several brief power outages occurred in certain areas of Dongmu, while at the same time, Fang Cheng uses the concept improvement A+ skill to bind this magic and maximize the release of his skills. A series of intricate patterns slowly coalesced on his windbreaker, embodying the carbon nanotube technology, using micrometer-sized carbon nanotubes to create countless circuit diagram-like magical patterns. Outside, countless dust danced in the air, and a dark layer of film appeared on the leather windbreaker, which was originally a luxury item. That is a graphene coating, which is filled with special bulletproof ceramic materials between graphene arranged in a unique structure, making it a bulletproof vest far superior to Kevlar materials. In just a few minutes, Fang Cheng transformed his windbreaker into a portable magical technology equipment. Faraday cage is the name he gave to this windbreaker. After applying maintained skills and conceptual improvements and bestowing mystery on it, its performance became even more abnormal, and it could even withstand small-caliber snipers without damage. The special carbon nanotube pattern can also mask the wearer's magical fluctuations, thus achieving the goal of hiding identity in front of magicians. Now, everything is ready, only farming is needed. New books for collection. Begging for flowers. Please give me a reward. Reward and update one chapter every 2000 VIP points. Qingming outing and happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th. Chapter 10. The longer the name, the more amazing it is. Seeking collection. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Irritation. Jiuyu Meimi felt that her heart was filled with negative emotions that had not been seen for a long time. You should know that on the battlefield, any negative emotion can lead to the death of soldiers. Dan Smai, who followed Xia Si to the battlefield, had long abandoned the feeling of impatience by reason, but now on the necessary road to the airport, Meimi became impatient because she had not seen the man. Within the range of her demonic surveillance, no trace of the man was found, and from the beginning, she inexplicably disappeared from the location provided by the other party through the GPS monitoring system. After confirming that there were no issues with the GPS, Wumi thought of another possibility. No matter how frivolous and inconspicuous that man may be, he still established a brilliant record of excellence through the sniper rifle in his hand. Such mercenaries have long engraved the 4 words, "Act with caution," deep in their souls. Even if they were eager to leave the battlefield of Dongmu, which is about to turn into purgatory, they would not act recklessly. Eliminating the phone signal and performing cross-dressing were all very common tricks, but Meimi was unable to distinguish who the enemy she needed to assassinate from so many people. Wait, what is this? Suddenly, she noticed something strange. The GPS locator, which had just lost its signal, suddenly showed a signal again, and the location of this signal was clearly inside the airport. Oh no, did that guy sneak to his destination without even realizing it? We must intercept him. As soon as she thought about the possibility of the other party leaking intelligence, which would lead to more danger for Chikushi, Yamiya Kuyu leapt out of the car with one swift step. She didn't even bother locking the car, so she used reinforcement magic to push her muscles to the extreme. Although as a price, she felt an incredibly painful swelling in her legs, at the same time, she also gained superhuman mobility. The people around her were unable to capture her figure with the naked eye at this moment. They could only see a pitch-black whirlwind hanging behind them, and a lingering shadow scattered before their eyes. In less than a minute, Meimi arrived at the location just determined by GPS, the men's restroom inside the airport. Ignoring the eerie gazes of the surrounding men, Meimi decisively strengthened her right fist with reinforcement magic, punching directly at the only closed wooden door. Boom! The exquisite wooden door shattered in response to the sound. Watching this scene in confusion, the men in the restroom ran away in panic, leaving only Wumi with an unsightly expression staring at the empty restroom. Inside the toilet, she didn't see that despicable frivolous man. And on the water tank of a toilet, a mobile phone, GPS locator, and a note were lying quietly there. After picking up the note, Wumi unfolded it, glanced at the content on it, and then this usually cold-looking woman punched through the partition of the toilet with a punch. This bastard dares to play with me. The note tightly held in the woman's hand, with only a few words written on it: "Respected Mr. Wei Gong and his assistant Miss, I have long known that you two old troublemakers are capable of overcoming difficulties and killing donkeys. So I took a plane long ago and wished you all the best in this city, laughing and playing GG. Huh, take a deep breath, don't be the same as this trash. If you're angry, you'll lose. Lose ah. After reluctantly calming her anger, Wumi dialed the phone of Wei Gong Chia and briefly explained what had just happened. Cut off the air. Don't blame yourself, it's not your fault. Come back quickly. Since that man guessed what we did, he might have set up other traps at the airport. After instructing Wumi a few words, Wei Gong Chia hung up the phone. It was only now that he realized he had underestimated that guy. Although he usually looks serious, as an elite mercenary, how could he be a fool? Being so skilled at escaping, perhaps he has already become accustomed to betrayal and being betrayed. For a warhound walking upstream on the battlefield, it is not surprising that he does anything. Really, trouble. With a deep sigh, Wei Gongqieshi skillfully tapped his laptop. Since he couldn't intercept the opponent, at least he needed to know when that guy had run away. At the same time, Fang Cheng, who was inside the power plant, finally completed his other creation. A battery, or in other words, it can also be called a trial type. Portable. Large capacity. Magic reserve device. Well, the naming convention with a strong technological style is generally more impressive as the name gets longer. For example, a certain full-domain universal continuous reinforcement mobile weapon system organization perfectly embodies the unique naming convention of technological equipment. That's right, what I'm talking about is Gundam. All along, the supply of magic has been quite troublesome for Fang Cheng. Although he can convert electrical energy into magic through electricity, he cannot lead the wires to fight. Therefore, he chose to complete the development of the magic storage device after producing various types of equipment. The battery, or prototype portable high-capacity magic reserve device, is a magical technology product that he has invested a lot of effort in developing. Undoubtedly, technology is the mouthpiece of productivity. New books for collection. Begging for flowers. Please give me a reward. Add 1 chapter to every 500 favorites Qingming outing in happy reading. Charge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge, activity period. April 4th to April 6th.